has been delayed for quite some time. First game, time has been over, and we're on to the second game. Kickoff should start. Is it kickoff? The game should begin very soon. Preparation are being made on the way. Our sports team arrived to have this great thrilling encounter afternoon. The weather here in Lagos, Nigeria, as we take it over, has been unfavorable. Of the team and the current standing of the table. So I'll be having my co-colleague here just to give us more light about it. So I'll be having my co-colleague just give us more light on the match that we'll be having right now between the Southern Dolphins and the Eastern Eagles. Yeah. So Femi, onto you. Now, now the weather is a bit favorable for this. I just think we should have a reduced over, like a 7 to 8 overs, and everybody, so it can be fair, just like yesterday. According to our rules of our game, I feel all points should be drawn at this point instead of increasing or postponing the game. This is not cricket. When you postpone the game, it should be draw. The points should be shared within the two teams. But anyhow, with this, the first game was delayed and has been postponed till Monday, which is supposed to be our rest day, and we'll be having one game on Monday, and the other games will start very soon. Yeah, the Monday. Some teams are scheduled the Monday, which should be their rest day, their day to re-strategize, and why some on Monday should be the day they're packing out and exiting the tournament. So if we postpone the game to Monday, it gives more room for players to see few years. They need to be there, but at this point, everything should be decided. Who will be here? Who is going to go to the playoffs? And who is going to remain? And who is going to go? So wait for the game. Game's kickoff soon. And that's a ball! Wow! Off my feet!
Obi, I'm not. Okay, Obi, I'm not talking to you. I say. I didn't do no. I say.
How many of us? Yeah. When you're ready, tell me. Good afternoon again, and welcome to match day 6, where the first game has been delayed due to rain and the unfavorable weather here in Lagos State. The TBS cricket over. As you can see right now, the second game is about to commence, and the toss is being taken by the umpire and the presenter. As you can see in the middle of the field, everybody's there, and so everybody just need to relax, grab your chair and coffee, and wait for this thrilling, anticipated game. situation in Lagos here has been so unfavorable for a sport like cricket. But we thank God for we thank God for the nice weather now. It's 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 nice outside there now, and it's good. But yeah, still we'll not be having 20 overs like we usually have, but it's gonna be just 6 overs. From from Western Dolphins. Yeah, no win for the team. Very, very unfortunate. As I said earlier, luck has not been on their side. So when you look at it from this point of view, their captain has been one of the outstanding players from the team. He has given his all when it comes to batting or bowling. He has given everything he has, but no, 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 no. They've been very, very unlucky. They've not been able to grab one win, but I hope they can grab one win today.
We are going to have another game here, the game between the Western Dolphins and the Central Eagles. A game that the Western Dolphins very much need to stand a chance of playing the playoff if he goes on. And earlier on, I was in the middle as the toss happened. Match day in the Nigerian Super League. It is the fixture between the Central Eagles and the Western Dolphins. Going to my far and right, it is the third umpire for the day, Ramon Adelakun, the skipper of the Western Dolphins, Vincent Adewoye, and as well as the captain for the Central Eagles, Peter Ahu. Ahu, being the home team for today, you will be taking the toss. The call is heads. You've won the toss today, Vincent. What will your team be electing to do first?
I'm bullying first.
Any changes to your side that played in the previous game? Is there any projected score that you're looking to keep the Central Eagles ahead as you've sent them into the field?
Yeah, the barest minimum.
Thank you very, very much for that. Central Eagles keeper Peter Ahu. You have been sent in to bat first. Was that your initial tactical approach to the game, or you have to go back to the drawing board?
Yeah, we wanted to bat first.
Any changes to your side that played in yesterday's game?
Backshaw is resting and then Peter Isari is coming back.
They said they want to keep you at the barest minimum. Is there any projected score that your team aims to put on the board?
Considering the weather and the ground, we'll be looking to score around, let's say, 110, 120 plus.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Peter Ahu. And there you have it from the middle, the captain of the Western Dolphins winning the toss, electing to send the team in first to field. It is going to be a reduced over format due to weather factor, as both sides will have 6 overs to secure 2 points. And you heard it first with Vincent Adewoye winning the toss and electing to see his team take to the field, restricting the Central Eagles to the barest minimum as they've had in 2 batters. Not surprised to see Salim Salau still in that top order. But I'm very much surprised seeing Chima Akachuku pair with him up there. Very desperate for runs. It is going to be the Central Eagles taking to the crease to bat first. Given that it is 6 over and just above 5 overs, every bowler has the chance of going 2 overs, which means that the Western Dolphins as well as the Central Eagles will have that chance of seeing a bowler come for the second time in this over format, and giving performances, depending on how well a bowler performs, we get to see them have another chance at bowling. So this is not just about what the bowlers can do, but as well as the batters, as every dot ball will matter in the long run going into the second inning. So it is a reduced over format, 36 instead of the 120 balls expected, but we still expect to see more runs on the board as if it was the maximum amount of overs. AJ Boris, it is nice having you in the box for the third day in a row. How do you assess this reduced over format, especially given the fact that the Western Dolphins really are desperate for a win and the Central Eagles just need this game to put themselves in that seat for the playoff rounds?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Peter. Pleasure to be here with you. Like you said, Western Dolphins need this to cement their place in the playoffs or in the semis, and the Central Eagles as well would need this. The Central Eagles need this to consolidate their other wins, and the Western Dolphins, who have not gotten a win yet in this campaign, need this desperately. They need 3 points, and as such, I think it's going to be a tight one. It's going to be keenly contested. We'll see how it plays out, Peter, because the Western Dolphins must do anything and everything they have in their power to win this game.
And they are going to do just that. Senichi Mele Udekwe with the first ball of the reduced over format. And he puts it in the leg side, which Salim Salau perfectly deals with. Swinging in behind the wicket keeper to the fine leg region, and he's still the infield into the boundary for the first boundary and the first runs for the Central Eagles. Look at the screen again, and you see that ball pitch shot came high out of the leg side, and properly dealt with by Salim Salah.
Brilliant shot there by Salim Salah. You don't want to come bouncing the ball at a steady batsman like Salim. You've seen him throughout the course of this tournament. He's been the mainstay for the Central Eagles, and he's not backing down now. They need to consolidate on the wins they have. They need this one. An uppercut it goes. Second ball of the over and the inning. Salim Salah, another beautiful shot there. Another bouncer from the bowler. And his uppercut that. One bounce trickling into the boundary for 4. Peter, you can see this is not the kind of bowling we want to see from Chemele and Dekwe, depending, you can see that again on replay.
Yeah,
beautiful shot there by Salim.
Yeah, still came in short, and this time, even though he was on the front side, the bounce was already there, the height was achieved, and Salim Salah, with his skill, knew obviously that that ball was for the taking, took advantage of that loose ball, loose delivery, and that is already 8 runs off 2 balls in his 36 balls to bat. And this is the Western Dolphins side who haven't really been able to come back much with the bat in the last 2 games, knowing very much more that they will need it going into the second inning.
And another single there. Sloppy fielding by the wicket keeper. Couldn't hold that, couldn't grab that. Let's see that again on replay. Keeper couldn't just hold on to that delivery. It cost them 1 run. This is very expensive to start with, Peter. Considering the fact that we're playing just 6 overs, you can't afford to be this indisciplined in bowling. He's bowled such expensive overs. Tried to come back, keeper not holding on to the ball again. And it turns out to be another single there, signaled by the umpire, Temitope Onikoi, standing umpire.
There's a lot of tension for the team, especially the Western Dolphins, but they shouldn't let it be visible in this game. Oluwaseyi Adegboye really needs to do a lot more work behind that stumps. Has not really held on to the last 2 balls, and has seen 2 bye runs that could have been prevented to the already plenty runs that the Central Eagles have on the board. And so far, it is looking, every ball has been a run. Mind you, it is a reduced over format, which means that the power play is going to be much shorter power plays. And then after the first 1.5 ball bowled, that is 1.5 overs completed, the power play comes to an end, which means that we will see an extended field setting as quickly as possible. But while it's still tight, Odekwe needs to have his bowling tighter.
Of course, discipline is the watchword. You need to be disciplined in your bowling and as well as your batting in cricket. There's lots has to do with your discipline so that you can comport yourself in a way that you maximize and be productive enough for your team to win. It's good to see Ajeku Daniel taking his run up. And here we have the lineup for the 2 teams.
Yeah, quickly, if you look at the 2 teams today, it is Peter Aho, the captain of the Central Eagles, Aziz Waris, Chima Akuchuku, Emmanuel Boniface, still in the team, Mohamed Moshood, Salim Salah, Husseini Prosper, Adebayo Samson, Oladejo Emmanuel, Ifeanyi Nubu, and Peter Isari is back in the squad for a back show. In the Western Dolphins, it is Vincent Adewoye, Ajekun Daniel, Animashaun Moise, David Monday, Elijah, Sheson Adedeji, Udekwe Chimele, Godfavor Okoro, Kingsley Udwak, Godswill, Adegboye Oluwaseyi, and Akerele Bilal. Those are the starting 11 of both sides. And for the first time in this tournament, in desperate times, being one of the most reliable batters, even though he hasn't really been complimented with a victory, Ajekun Daniel, the opening batter for the Western Dolphins, is picking up the ball for the first time in this tournament. Spinners have been the most controlling aspect of this game. This tournament so far, more wickets have been taken by spinners, and Daniel Ajekun wants to continue on that. Not too many reliable spinners for the Western Dolphins, and Daniel Ajekun just wants to see what he can do to keep these runs low. and he starts off with a wide. The first delivery for Daniel Ajekun in this tournament ends in a wide. The runs are already on the high side. This is 13 runs already in just 6 balls bowled by the Western Dolphins.
Goes after him, goes big, one bounce into the ropes for a 4. Batsman wastes no time in sending that ball to the ropes. Batsman Salim Salau, batsman in form. See that.
No turn was really employed behind that ball, as that ball was coming on straight. Salim Salah waited patiently, seeing if there was going to be a turn. The ball just kept on coming straight, and he was on the offside into the infield. That was already there for the taking, and he exploded. Salim Salah used to top in the batting chart, and he has that chance in this game to go even further in individual runs scored.
It's been bold, just as you just offered all flowers to Salim Salah. It's been clean bowled by Jeku Daniel, experienced campaigner. You can see that. Like I said, the first ball had lots of width on offer for Salim, and he didn't back down. He went after it, got 4 runs from there. But you can see Ajeku Daniel, much experience. He's come back on the money. You can see from the replay.
Better come back by Ajeku Daniel. Looking at that ball from the release to the pitch. No turn was expected by Salim Salah. Expected that ball to still be as similar as the first one. And that is where it was taken by surprise. And I'm even more surprised to see a lot of rotation in the batting lineup. But I shouldn't be that surprised given the reduced format and the understanding that every ball needs to be met with an intention to strike and attack and go for the maximum in terms of run needed. Peter Ho coming up the batting order and coming in 1 down as opposed to the usual number 6 or number 7 that he has been coming in so far in this tournament.
Yeah, Peter, intentions are clear. You need some power hitting. We're still within the power play. And so, not to my surprise that the captain has decided to come out, take advantage of this power play, do some power hitting, hopefully. Starts with just 1 run there, a quick single. Miscued that ball, it was full. Couldn't take maximum advantage of it. Tending that he's just coming into the crease. He's not warm yet. But intentions are very clear that they want to clear the ropes. And again, Salim Salah, thick outside edge, racing to the boundary. He chases on Muis, sends that ball back, and they'll get a double from there.
Salim Salah is already out. I understand why Akchuku and Peter Awu have already come in early. You know, when you are a batter, you have that conscience to always, and that reflex to always rotate strike and just be selective or short. But given that you're sending in bowler all rounders in, the first intuition is going to go after the balls as quickly as possible. And like Akchuku and Peter Awu are understanding that assignment, and every time they've gone towards the ball, it is with the intention to strike and get as close to the boundary ropes as possible.
Rightfully said, Peter. They need to play. Now power play is over. 1.5 overs of power play has been done and dusted. So the field can be expanded now. I think they're still keeping the same field just for this last ball. Last delivery from Ajeku Daniel. Full. And it's been punched for 1 by Chima to end the over. Second over ends. It's 22 for 1. Peter Hall, 1 off 1 delivery. Chima has moved to 5 off 5 deliveries. 6 overs to play. 2 overs done. This is, Peter, this run rate is kind of high. We're going at 11 per over now.
Yeah, usually when you see this kind of game in the complete format, and that is the T20, you'd expect that, okay, this is already an explosive starting off. Why not slow down? But given the reduced over 6, which means 4 more left to be played, you understand that the task at hand right now is to add even more and put even more and try and make it impossible for the batters of the Western Dolphins to come and play. Mind you, the Western Dolphins are very desperate for a win. A loss today totally disqualifies them from a playoff spot. A win today can't put them on that fence and gives them a hope that next win can put them in a playoff position. But for now, what they really need to focus on is today. And today means that they have to get that win.
So if they need to win, they need to cut down on these run rates. There's no gain saying that. Big appeal, ball drifting down the leg. An umpire, Temitokwe Onikoyi, is not disturbed by that. The game should go on. Not a convincing appeal, Peter. They're looking for everything. And a big throw of the bat. Will they go all the way? It's one bounce, two, into the fence for four. Chima Kachuku, knowing the tax ahead. You can see his body language. He's going all out. They brought him in number 3. And Chima would probably come in later in the inning. Look at that. Inside out, creating space to hike that ball. And another one there. It's in the air. It's no man's land. They're charging. You can see them. Beautiful fielding there by that young lad to stop them from taking that third run. Western Dolphins looking really scattered now, not bowling in the right areas. They need to do better with the ball so that they don't concede too many runs that would come back to haunt them in the second inning. Look at Chikuchima, swings, not getting a hold of that. No run from there. Peter.
Yeah, it just seems to be a little bit of struggle with Oluwaseyi Adegboye with that keeping glove. Didn't have a really best of first overs and still struggling to keep hold of that ball. The goal at the end of the day should be to try and restrict these runs to as low as possible. Monday Elijah seems to be doing the best out of them, having given out only 7 runs compared to the first where there was 12 and the second over where there was 10. Now it's 7. The runs are reducing, but it's just not enough. They need the wickets to accompany it as well. And that is a lovely way to end the third over for the Western Dolphins. The runs are already on the high side and they will need to keep it low as possible. 30 is what sits on the ball, 10 per over. And only 1 wicket has been lost as we're halfway into this short inning. It is the second time today we're seeing another player pick up the ball for the first time. And in the most desperate period of the game, they have been a little bit experimental, making changes. And we've seen Ajekun Daniel and now David Abibode picking up the ball for the first time in this tournament.
Yes, Peter. The Western Dolphins, if you noticed them playing, they've not really employed their spinners in this tournament. This is the first time they are bringing in spinners. They usually use their pacers. If you remember games before now, okay, running between wickets, good fielding there, good arms by Elijah Monday. Send that ball back, sending Chima Kachuku back into his crease. Was attempting to take a second.
The field is already open, by the way. There's a long on, long off. Might need to point that out, as well as an extra covers and the deep mid wicket. The square leg has been pushed further back all the way to the ropes. And so there's going to be a lot of work to be done, given that both batters in there are bowler all-rounders, which means that they have the ability to hit, but their primary duties is with the bowler hand.
It's good to see the Western Dolphins bringing the spinners, because like I was saying, they've not really used their spinners. You see on this pitch at the TBS for not just this competition, spinners have been very effective. You were here with me in the internationals a while ago. You saw how the spinners, restricted batters from scoring runs, solid batters, set batters. Found it very difficult to score runs on this pitch. So I wonder why they were reluctant to use their spinners. But today, knowing that they need a win in desperation, they brought in spinners, and you can see the result is there clear. The spinners come in, the run rates and the projected score and the current run rate starts to drop significantly to 8.2 per over.
And yeah, looking at the batting order, even before Salim Salah went out, he was already very quick into double figures with 13 of 6 deliveries, and majority of the boundaries being scored by him. His partner initially, who is Chima Akachukwu, has one better, and Peter O going out of. And the desperation for runs. No, we've seen Prosper Hosseini, what he can do with the bat. Peter Ahu, understanding that this isn't reduced over of the format, is sent in, decided to be retired. Not really feeling too comfortable. Put up a couple swings and he's been retired out. And Prosper Hosseini is there to pair up with Akachukwu. We are very well known seeing Prosper Hosseini explode from the very first ball. Doesn't really have that temperament with the bat, and starts to slug it off the first delivery. Akachukwu will look to put Prosper Hosseini on strike, and Adewoye, being a pace bowler, if he doesn't get that wicket, it makes it easier. Plays off the back foot and to the fielder long on, and Prosper Hosseini, just as expected, will come on strike. The left-hand bowler coming in, and will be facing his first ball of this much desperate win. Mind you, the victory today will certainly give the Central Eagles a spot in the playoff rounds, leaving 2 slots left to be slogged out between the 3 remaining teams. There's still a lot of fixtures left to be played.
Vincent taking over from the pavilion end. This is the captain. Very good first delivery. You see slower ball employed. That is first delivery. And there we go. One of the biggest sixes so far. Prosper Hosseini has launched into Vincent's second delivery for a maximum 6 runs into the cow corner area. Coming out of the sweet spot of the bat. Flies all the way. You see that again on replay. Moves outside of stump. Very good foot movement. Gets behind the ball and packs that ball out of the arena.
This is a bowler that is very conversant with. They both play on the national team. They've played against each other a couple of times. He knows just how Vincent likes to bowl to him, taking that ball outside of the off stump. And Hosseini Prosper was there, anticipated that delivery even before Vincent could react. And as soon as the ball was there, the slug was there, and the boundary came just as expected. This is Prosper Hosseini's 7th maximum in this tournament.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Vincent coming at Prosper after bringing in the slow bowlers, the spinners. We saw a reduction in that run rate that was accelerating over 10. And now he's come again, a pacer. And no wonder Prosper just dispatched that, out of his ground. You should employ the spinners. I think they'll be more effective here. Batters are hungry to play runs. You bring the slow bowlers. The swing and a miss from the whiteboard showed and a bye is taken. Still runs keep trickling in for the Central Eagles, and they're making it, I'm sure they're making it difficult, more difficult for the Western Dolphins that really need a win today. This is expensive. This is plenty of runs on the board, Peter. Considering their batting and the way they've collapsed over the games they've played, this is not good enough. They should restrict this run. This run is becoming too much. And another big one there, Peter. Another maximum. Now from Akachukwu Chima. He's whipped that over deep square leg. Dislodged that ball of Chima's, of Vincent bowling. You see what I'm talking about, the pace bowling? It can only go faster. You should just stick to your spinners and hope they just see that on replay.
Not really. Vincent hasn't really had the best of tournaments with the ball and the bat, and that ball was just begging to be hit. Remember, Vincent won the toss and elected to send his team into field first, wanting them to know what is expected of them coming into the second inning. And as it is looking like what is going to be expected is going to come with pressure. Much fuller that delivery, and Akachukwu didn't combat it on time, but there was enough space for 2 runs in which they will complete. Leading by example was Prosper Oseni, passing down the baton to Chima Akachukwu to go for that maximum hit in which he completed. An expensive over it has been for Vincent and the Western Dolphins. Already it is 15 runs, 16 if you count the extras that have been awarded. In just this over alone, that is way more than any over that has been bowled previously. 51, and we are still 7 balls towards the end of this first inning.
And you can see the run rate climbing up to 10 per over once again. A very serious diving effort from that young fella. He stopped that ball from the boundary. Good teamwork from his teammate to return it. Stop them from running. This is firepower, some firepower here. The Central Eagles are powering away. They've moved that run rate back to 10, Peter. You saw the spinners took it to 8, and now the Pacers taking it back to 10. What does that tell you about pace and spin on this pitch?
That just not on this pitch, but in this game, to be more precise, what they need is to bring back the spin back to the ball, given the fact that you can have a bowler can get 2 bowling overs in this match. You can bring back a bowler, 2 coming on the ball. They decided to stick with pace. It is the final over, and you bowling to Prosper Oseni, who you know likes to slug it out. What Udeko needs to do now is keep that ball as low as possible. Any ball coming up on shot on good length, Prosper Oseni is sending it to those boundary ropes. What he needs to do is put that ball pitching fuller. Yoka length balls is what he's going to need to do to try and keep Prosper Oseni from getting any more maximum or any more boundary hits, given the fact that Prosper Oseni is not a second-guessing batter, and his first intent at all times is to go for the big shot. What he can do is try and reduce that to the barest minimum.
Prosper whipping that away, and they've taken 1. Chiemele calling for the ball, stopping that second run from happening. I'm surprised they've stuck to pace. We've talked too much about the effectiveness of spin in this tournament and on this pitch, considering the weather, considering the wetness of the pitch. They've stuck to pace. Chiemele gotten 1 run off that first delivery. I hope it works out good for them. This is the last over of this game, in the first inning of this game. Chiemele needs to do what he said. He needs to bowl the Yorker length. Anything short of that will be dispatched by these 2 set batters. And up in the air, all the way for another maximum. Chima Akachukwu just stretching his bat. Width on offer. Chiemele, you see what pace will do. We'll carry the ball. We'll give that ball that needed momentum to fly off the pitch. If it was spin, They will be dealing with spin in another way. This is pace. Look at that again. And see Chima. Helicopter shot there by Chima. Gets maximum. This is expensive. It's 60 for 2 in 5.2 overs.
Yesterday, I pointed out the fact that the team was overly reliant on Salim Salah.
Oh, what a shot! What a shot! We should see that again. Chima's gone berserk on Chiemele. Let's watch that on replay. Oh, brilliant shot. Some IPL standard shot there. Oh, my word. Brilliant. Chima Kachuku looking very good. This is what was going to happen to pace bowling. Very, very wrong decision, I should say. They were going 12 per over. The first over, second over drops to 10. Spinners coming, took that down to 8. And again, a slower delivery. Chima's gone. And Chiemele winning the battle. In this case, he's gotten his man, Chima. Chima's done his job, as far as I'm concerned. Peter, quick fire, runs coming out. He's done what is required. There's 2 balls left in this game. Take a look at this. The helicopter shot that went all the way for 6. Just over backward of deep point. And here comes again. Ah, this looks good. All the way. This is the kind of batting we want to see. It's becoming, we're starting to see some batting here at TBS. Not just spin, not just bowlers dominating. This is good to see, Peter.
Yeah, when you're playing in a much reduced over format, you know that every ball really does count, especially when you're at the team tasked with setting the target on the board. Oluwaseyi Adegboye has not really been very uptight with the ball in terms of complementing the pace bowlers, as most of the time when those balls have come towards him, he's not really dealt with it on the first attempt of try, and that has cost and given a lot of extra runs to the Central Eagles. On 4 occasions, he's not really handled the ball well, and in those 4 occasions, extra runs have been berthed. It's only the last ball, and the wrong person to have on strike is Prosper Oseni Udekwe. Willingness to come up with something out of the blues to get this ball or prevent it from reaching the boundary ropes.
6 runs and 6 maximum runs from Prosper Oseni. You just said it. Udikwe has no answer to Prosper. He's bowling pace to them. They are seasoned batsmen, and dispatch again the last ball all the way for 6. Brilliant display of batting in this first inning. It's the reduced version of the game because of weather. We're playing just 6 overs. It's 74 runs in 6 overs. 73 for 3 in 6 overs for the Central Eagles. And the Western Dolphins will need 74 runs in 6 overs to win this game. Uphill task, I must say, Peter.
Yeah, this team's going back to the match summary before the second inning, we'll start. Chima Kachuku, only of 19 balls, has played 35 runs very quickly with 3 maximum. Salim Salah, 13 off of 6. Oseni Prosper, also on 13 in 4 balls faced. Dekwe, even though he was exploited, had 1 wicket, giving out 28 runs in 2 overs completed. Ajekun Daniel only bowling 1, taking out 1, and 11 runs given out. Monday Elijah, on the other hand, didn't get a wicket, but certainly kept the runs at the minimal. Only 8 runs in 1 over bowled.
space, now you do go, 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 go.
Mic off, mic off. There's a mic on. I can't hear it.
The second innings is about to get underway, and the decision to field first will have to be complemented coming into the second innings by the Western Dolphins. Imagine they won the toss, selecting the field. A little bit of cheeky behavior by the team side, both sides, even though they understand what is at stake, but it doesn't put a dent in the relationship between these two. Look there, Salim Salah having a chemical behavior with David Abibode. 73 was what was put on the board, 74 is what's needed, meaning that the required runs per over is sitting at 12. It is over 12 runs if they want to cross this finish line as quickly as possible. Mind you, the Western Dolphins haven't really had a reliable middle order. And not taking that into consideration, what it means is that regardless of whatever outcome that will be the top holders had to take this game to the very end, not losing any wicket like they've usually done in their previous three encounters. A win today matters, and a win should be all that is in their head, and they should approach this game with a winning mentality. Sheson and David Abibode in the batting crease. David taking strike. Daniel Jekun has been dropped down the batting order. A lot of changes by both sides given the reduced over format, and 36 balls, 74 needed. It is more than what we've seen in any of the previous games.
Prosper Hussaini to start proceedings. He's miscued it, David, but we'll get a single from there. Probably a leg by, yes it is. Leg by there. That brings Sheson Adedeji into action. They required over 12 runs per over to emerge victorious. They need to do that. That is the job they have at hand. And it's just a single. They need to power the ball at one stage. And chasing this total, you see from the first ball, the first inning was a boundary. Now you're getting singles. You're trying to set yourself up. I hope your plan works. Western Dolphins need this match. They need this win. A swing and a miss.
What they don't need is the dot balls, and worse is the singles. The singles is not what they need at this period. What they need is boundary ropes and reducing pressure going into the second inning. Every dot ball and every single will not be enough in this run chase. They had double the amount of runs needed in balls available. When you put 36 plus 36, that puts you at 72, and would they even needed more than that to try and secure a win. And that is two back-to-back dot balls. An adventurous shot by David Abibode. Don't know why that came up and that was even a thought, but it's not what a dot ball should not have been the outcome, regardless of the decision he made. No wicket should be lost, and certainly the runs should be up and higher than it sits at the moment.
And so the required run rate now sits at 13.50. There's no gainsaying that the Western Dolphins need to hit boundaries. They need to trade in boundaries now. Dot balls, singles won't help them. You're looking at over 12 runs per over, 13.5 per over to be precise. Here comes Prosper. And it's a wide ball and 4. Prosper playing for the Western Dolphins, I should say. It's wide. It's gone all the way to the boundary. As Prosper dashing out 5 runs there. And things are looking better on the scoreboard with this from Prosper. Western Dolphins have moved to 7 for naught of 4 deliveries.
Yeah, quickly, the run rate has depleted for the Western Dolphins, sitting at 13 earlier on. It is 12.56. 2 balls to be bowled, and they are just 6 runs shy. And 6 runs, will he get it? I think not, as Chima is underneath the ball. And Chima is responsible for that ball going beyond the boundary ropes. Should have been safe hands by Chima. And what is the call? It is the maximum by the umpires. By Chima. A big shot was airborne, and Chima should have been the reliable catch. And he's giving an extra life to the Western Dolphins. And this, you can see the reaction by the rest of the team. The 6 runs needed to keep the run at the stable hands was gotten. An end to the first over, but the Western Dolphins sit comfortably with the runs needed per over. 13 they got off the first over, no wickets lost. And Abibode and the Western Dolphins have survived a scare.
Have a look at that again, Chima. Getting under the ball. Can't explain what happened there. Taking that catch overhead, I should say. It's popping out of his palms, going into the boundary for a 6. Peter, if you ask me, after the second delivery of the first over, that the Western Dolphins going to make 12 runs in this over, I would have said no. But you see, in life and faith has other things to throw at us. And here we are, it's 13 runs off the first over. The required runs have been gotten, plus 1 on top. So this is not over yet. If they can get 13 off the first over, they can also go big. They've not lost a wicket yet. Oh, the ball has been given to Ifeanyi Ball from the pavilion end at the Tafawa Balewa Square Cricket Oval. Ifeanyi, another speedster. We'll be bowling to Sheson Adedeji. Drop catch there, drop catch by Samson. Was flat. Hit like a rocket by Sheson to mid off where Samson was there. Didn't need to move. You see that on replay. Struck with some venom in it. And he couldn't cup it. He couldn't quite cup that into his arms. It was drop catch. Sheson stays alive. Swing and a miss by Sheson.
That ball was already there for the taking. Came straight to him, similar to what happened earlier by the team at the boundary ropes. It's giving an extra life. No runs yet. But 2-3 boundaries could change the whole trajectory. And Mets.
Brilliant shot by Sheson Adedeji. Cover driven. That ball full in the arc. Makes no mistakes. Picks the cap beautifully and sends the fielder to fetch that ball. Go fetch it. Sheson stays. That ball rocketing out of the middle of the bat. And the intentions are clear. They need to chase down 74 runs. And that they are doing with some intention.
And what I'm looking at is for the Central Eagles to not give false hopes to the Western Dolphins. We've seen them win the game at the later stages of the game. Would this be a catch? It is not going to be a catch. The third dropped catch of this match. The Central Eagles seem to have lost where all of this is going. This should have been a very much needed catch. And David Abubode, for the second time, has been given a lifeline. 3 times the fielder has been underneath it, and 3 times they failed to take charge. The fielding placement have been in place given the limited field setting for this game. But in those 3 different occasions, Chima giving the boundary. Luckily, this wasn't a boundary, but this will have changed how this game has been going so far. A run they had, the run rate is still very much chaseable for the Western Dolphins, and they've given David Abibode that chance to look at that catch again. If I will be disappointed, as this one was even much simpler than the previous one, as it was a descending ball, and the fielder who was feeding in that deep, Moshid Mohammed, would have done better. Now the bowlers have to do the jump themselves. The fielders seem to be unreliable, which means that what they have to do is keep that ball out of the batter's pad and into the keeper's glove. The power play has come to an end given the reduced over format, and the field has been expanded, which means that more job has to be done by the Western Dolphins in terms of locating other open spaces and getting those much needed runs.
This is pressure talking here. And beautifully struck by Sheson Adedeji. Sorry, that was struck by David. Another cover drive. Classic shot in cricket. Let's see that again. He's played that with some disdain. He's gotten 4 runs from there. And again, they've hit their target in the second over. It's unbelievable. There were 3 drop catches there. There have been 3 drop catches so far. The current run rate sits at 11. The required 13 runs per over. Now, the Western Dolphins are sitting 22 for naught after just 2 overs. They need to keep the momentum going. They need to keep looking for those boundaries. That's the only way you can get to the total, to the target they've been set. You need to get boundaries. They've traded. But it's just so disappointing that the Central Eagles have dropped 3 catches, 3 direct catches. Not needing to move, just where you are. They've been stationed properly, the fielders. Just couldn't get a hold, couldn't cop that ball. And they've given lives to both Chesson and David. Lives that they really, really need to help their team win this game.
Yeah, a lot of lifelines have been given. Not 1, not 2, and 3 as it sits at the moment. That was very quick. That was that catch opportunity going into straight down into that fielder in the deep, Mohamed Moshood. And that was there for the taking. It was underneath it. The ball was descending. Didn't really have to do with any acceleration behind that ball. Just needed to hold on to gravity. Gravity had done the work for him, and all he just had to do was keep that ball above the ground, and he couldn't do that. And he's giving David Abibode another chance, which he took advantage of, sending that ball beyond the boundary ropes. The task is huge, but the Central Eagles seem to be making it very easier for the Western Dolphins. And who else to give the ball if not the man who, after the first inning, dropped the catch, but certainly secured the victory for them in the previous encounter. Should have stayed in his squeeze session. That ball was coming straight. Desperation is starting to set in for the Western Dolphins. Could have dealt with it better, waited on the ball. It is the first ball of the over. Wait and see what the bowler will do with that ball. And Chesson, really in a haste, has missed an opportunity and seen the required runs increase. It is now sitting back at 13.57. Round it up, and that will be 14 runs. And it's just 5 balls. Having 5 balls to add 14 runs to the board. As the balls go down, so should the runs. In the air, would this be a catch? Finally, that much needed catch in the deep. And Moshood Mohamed makes amends after initially dropping that catch in the deep. And Chesson would not be spared at the second time of asking.
Let's see that again on replay, Peter. Ball there in the slot. Got the height. Couldn't get the distance. And you see, the man solidly under that ball, making sure he makes no mistakes. 3 catches have been dropped. Now, this brings in the captain, Vincent Adeoye. Lots of pressure, but lots of responsibilities. He needs to take charge now. He needs to play one of his best innings. Let's see that again on replay. Chesson trying to muzzle that over long off. Couldn't get the distance on it. A very good catch. This man that has dropped one has refused to drop another. He knows how important that is now.
Vincent Adeoye, neither has he had a very good tournament batting inning or with the ball, but this is where all matters. Flicking it to the deep mid-wicket and getting himself off the strike. They do not need the singles now. The required run rate keeps climbing higher. This is the highest it has been since the second inning started, sitting currently at 14.18. It is still very much, and that single has boosted it even higher, sitting at 14.57. Rounding it up, that will be 15. It is 3 more balls. 15 is still very much achievable, but that sits in the hands of David Abibode. and even lower 2 balls, the highest they could get off that 2 leg out deliveries will be 12, which means that there is a much more daunting task to be done in the second over, in the next over, and that will be the 4th over. The Western Dolphins really need to put the Central Eagles on the edge. They started that after a very beautiful end to the second innings, and they've not been able to complement that coming into this 3rd over as it is being in play. Mind you, if you remember, the Central Eagles have won the last 2 games, had the narrow end, waiting onto the last ball, winning both games by 1 run.
Yes, they've been lucky. Oh, swing and a miss. You need to make contact. There's no gain saying it. It's 51 runs required from 19 deliveries. Akachukwu Chima took 19 deliveries to score. Over 40 runs for his team. Now we've got just 19 deliveries left. Can we get some firepower batting here from Vincent? He's turned. Oh, David. Oh, what a shot. He's injured. He's injured. He's gotten a blow to the body.
Really needs that attention right now, David Abibody. Went really low for that ball, for a ball that stayed low. The contact point wasn't the bat, but the bat is body. Look at that replay. Very close to the helmet region. Hopefully it is not too bad. But what he needs right now is that attention. He needs the attention, and so does the team going into the last 3 overs, the last 18 balls of this inning. 51 of the next 18 balls.
David trying to be creative there. It's worked. It's worked. He has backup now. It's good to see his backup. He's tried to flick that ball to the leg side all the way from the offside. The ball kept low, and so was David. Got struck. It's good to see he's up. The Western Dolphins need a miracle. You can see that again. I hope he's not been hit in the groin, around the groin area. He's still bending over though. That's risky. It's 23 for 1. After three overs bowled, the required run rate is jumped to 17 runs per over. With every dot ball, that required run rate keeps up jumping, keeps on jumping up. You need to get those boundaries. Now, the captain of the Western Dolphins, what? Western Dolphins? No, the captain of the Central Eagle, our Peter, is taking responsibilities now. He's going to be bowling the 4th over of this game.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 4th over of the game by Peter Aho, and the boundary riders he has, it is deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and deep extra covers. Those are, and technically he's definitely going to have a fine leg right in place for him. So he has those guys all in place. The question is, can this man, Vincent Adewoye, capitalize on the loose balls that Peter might actually go? He hits 51 in 18 balls. Take edge, outside edge. Can that be caught out? Good piece of fielding there by Prosper Hussaini, cutting that out, ensuring that there was no way that ball could have gone to the boundary for 4.
Yeah, very, very good display there by Prosper Hussaini. Had to use his leg. We're natural footballers in Nigeria. We play cricket now. But we saw that happen yesterday with Ifeanyi Obo. These guys will do anything to stop the ball from entering the boundary. The Central Eagles have done well in field setting as well. They would like to take this game home. It's again Vincent to do the job. Gotten some bat on it directly to that fielder. That's short fine leg for just 1 run.
He needs to capitalize on those balls. You need to keep the ball sticking, even as much as you might not be able to get the runs. the boundaries. You need to keep the ball taken. That's what matters. Just hope and pray that one loose balls just definitely goes in your favor and you'll be able to get that desired maximum or boundary that you might need. 4 balls left to be bowled. 26 for 1 after 3.2 overs.
There certainly wasn't any chance for any run from coming off that ball, but you can see the desperation in the eyes of the Western Dolphins. They are not getting those boundaries that the Central Eagles were getting in the first inning. The batters have really struggled with the compact bowling, and that just tells you just how essential bowling is in the part of the game. Expensive overs by the bowlers of the Western Dolphins, and they're not getting the same privilege from the Central Eagles if you look at it.
The fact that they're cutting off the pace is what matters most. And Peter is in bowling at his full 100%. This time he goes big, he goes high. Can that be a maximum? And the easy catch there by Jesse number 13. Cool as you like catch, like we used to say in the commentary box. And David Abudebe has just lost his wicket, scoring 10 off 12 balls. And the Western Dolphins seem to be losing wickets in succession. How can they respond back to this?
Already been disappointed twice. That is Ifeanyi Ubo in his bowling over, understands what it means, and certainly did everything he could got himself underneath that ball and held on to it. There was no way David was getting a third life. Should have dealt with it at the third time, and he hasn't really been successfully finding those big shots on 3 previous attempts. The first time the shot was amplified and escorted, giving that luxury was afforded by Chima Kachuku, who didn't hold on to the ball. The next 2 balls, it was dropped in the dip by Moshood, and this time around it was to Ifeanyi Ubo, who obviously wasn't going to let that one slide.
Interesting to say that what people don't know when it comes to club and familiarity, Richard Ubo and Vincent Adewoye play for the same club in the Lagos Cricket League, so it's not It's not out of place to say that Vincent Adewoye played straight into the hands of his teammate in the club level. Into the attack now is Udokwe Chiemele. A big hitter of the ball, tries to swing the ball back to the ball, but Peter, cutting off the pace of the ball, has only considered 3 runs in this over and taking 1 wicket. Now the run rate has increased to 22.15. Can they just find a way to hit the boundaries at this point in time? They are technically getting boundaries upon bound. They need to get boundaries.
The run rate are still going up. 22, it sets at 0.15.
Tracks it down the ground. Can that be cut off by Chima Kachuku? No, it's not. And that's a boundary 4 there by Udokwe Chiemele, hitting that with the loose balls on the offside to the boundary for 4. The much deserved boundary that they require in this over.
Yeah, it's all about power now, and that one was played off the backhand, enough pace, and beats the infielder. And Udekwe knows he has to make amends for his expensive bowling inning. And with the bat, he's been able to register 4 more, but the run is still doubled. Right now, they need 22 runs per over. They cannot afford any more singles, and every ball has to reach the boundary ropes as we are into the last 2 overs of this particular game.
Still going to have pace. It's going to be Samson Adebayo with Jesse number 99 from the Court of Appeal end. 30 runs in 2 overs, 30 for 2 in 4.0 overs, 44 needed in 12 balls. At this point in time, Vincent Adewoye needs to attack Samson. They're both familiar foes. Stays in the same country, in the same state, or your state. It's going to be a mind game now between the bowler and the batter. His boundary riders are deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and deep extra covers. Then he has a 3rd man in place. He goes big, he goes high. Is this a maximum? 3. Yes, it is a maximum. He gets the maximum needed. Just look at that. Very well hit there by Vincent Adewoye.
The assignment was there, and he playing off the backhand, waiting for that bounce. A big swing behind the ball and into that open region on the gap between the deep mid wicket and the long on. A very much needed wicket, as those runs have managed to deplete, taking out 6, meaning that they still need to register as much as 16 runs in this over.
Good to see Vincent take responsibility, hike that ball over deep mid wicket for a 6. He needs to do that more often. He needs to stay on strike. Samson Adebayo, seasoned campaigner, will do 1 or 2 tricks with the ball, do some slower delivery. Vincent drives that ball straight down, long on area for a single. We need to do more. We need to see that firework. We need to see those big shots, Peter. It's essential here to get to the total. You need to hit them 6s. You need to get them boundaries now.
As you're already into the penalty made over, every ball that is dotted or doesn't go to the boundary runs sees an inflation in the required runs. 24 it sits at currently. Tries to go big, does he?
Shot. Brilliant shot there. Ball was in the arc. And Chemele Indukwe makes no mistakes. Played that ball out of the park for a maximum. This is what is required. Let's see that again on replay. Sits back in his crease. Oiks that.
I mean, he's giving out a lot of expensive. The last over of the first inning was ace, and it was quite expensive. He had to complement for that with the bat. He hasn't done enough. There's still a lot of task at hand, but so far he's off to a great start.
Chemele Indukwe, the speed start, and again, up. It's drop shot of the fielder, long off. Gets just a single from there. One more delivery to go. This over. It's 13 runs, but you can see the required run rate has jumped so far, 25.71. That's Kulian. Vincent has to do something magical. It's gone over him. Brilliant shot there by Vincent. Just like I said, you need to bring out something extra. Inside out shots there. Play over extra cover. Man in the deep. Let's see that again in replay. Thought he had a chance though.
It is all but over as it stands. The Central Eagles are very, very well known for taking that game into the final part. Oche Boniface could have waited, but the decision to approach that ball was miscalculated, as that ball was already at his region if he had stayed at the boundary ropes in that extra cover region. It's giving a boost on the runs, and now what they need is 24 runs of the next 6 deliveries for maximum, and this game is way out of reach for the Western Dolphins.
Very good display of batting prowess from the Western Dolphins. They've not really come to the party in the matches before now, but now desperation calls for some big play from the captain and from Chemele Ndukwe. He's conceded so many runs when he was bowling. He holds the team runs and is doing that. He needs to fight. He's on 11 runs off 4 balls. Vincent is on 17 runs off 7 balls. You can see they're both above strike rate, 100% strike rate. They need to do better. It's 24 runs needed off 6 deliveries, last 6 deliveries, and the man to do this for the Central Eagles, no other than Chima Akachuku. He did well yesterday, swing and a miss. And now Vincent has run himself out. He was trying to take advantage, was trying to make Salim Salahu, makes no mistake in dislodging the wicket. Vincent taking that run, trying to steal it. But Salim, awareness, brilliance. Let's see that on replay. A swing and a miss by Chimile Ndikwe. Vincent called for that run, couldn't make it there. You can see sheer desperation here. He should have held his nerve, allowing Chimile to try. And let's see, with two of them, they've gotten maximums. They're in form. Vincent's depart for 17 off 7 balls. The man going in is Ajeku Daniel, another seasoned campaigner, batsman par excellence. He's not been at his best at this tournament. We need this win desperately. 24 needed of 5 deliveries now, Peter.
Not surprised seeing Akachuku Chima come in and take the ball. He took it the last time. And there's still 5 more balls. 4 balls, which means that they still have at least, they just need 4 maximums. And Ajeku Daniel is capable of getting them that. I think that was the reason it was kept till this very point in the game. If there's anybody that can help them skill through that finish line, as it stands, it is Ajeku Daniel. And with the efforts, Udeke Chimilimaya can complement on that. Wasn't enough, driven on the ground, and they will only settle for 1 run. It is 4 more balls, and the only chance that they have now to have any point or any hopes of securing a win. 4 balls, 4 maximums will do it for the Western Dolphins. And it is the bowler all-rounder Adekwe who is on strike against the man who ended the first inning. And he started off really well, but with that get to the ropes, I do not think so. And that was another drop catch. Didn't get to the boundary ropes, but certainly what it did was give Odekwe another chance in the batting crease. A drop catch by Oche Boniface. Too many balls are being played way high in the air and nowhere near the boundary ropes by the Western Dolphins, as this game would have before now been sealed off. It had on the deck and wasn't played anywhere out of reach. The required run rate is way more than balls available as it sits. Only 2 runs were there, but the required runs is nowhere in the reach of the Western Dolphins. Currently, the run rate is above 42. A run-out attempt, but wasn't actualized. Umpire Temitope Onikoyi confirming the batter had crossed that run, that popping crease. 57 is the required run, and mind you, you can only get a maximum of 36 of 6 legal deliveries. And Akachuku is not that man to give extras. Playing off the back foot, does it get to the boundary ropes? Yes, it does, but this game is still far-fetched and far out of reach. A maximum, the required runs is now at 13, but it is not possible unless there can be 2x4s, which Chima Akachuku is not the man to expect those wide fours from. The field has been extended. Just given the ball, the team says, let him play, as there is no more chance for the Western Dolphins. Play for honor. It does flick it to the leg side. Short is the big call. A big flick for a maximum. And for the 3rd time in succession, the for 4th time correction, the Western Dolphins will lose the game. And their fate has been sealed. No playoff spots for them, but they have been very competitive. AJ Boris, this really looked like a very game that would go down the wire, and at some point in the final inning it didn't, and this is the highest runs that the Central Eagles have won by.
Central Eagles win by 6 runs. Disappointing campaign for the the Western Dolphins refused. That's the highlight. It's the sixth, second to the last delivery of the match by Ndekwe. Played the six over the bowler. And this massive one over deep square leg, dislodged it, but wasn't good enough to take his team into winning ways. They end up 67 for 3, and they allotted 6 overs. The Central Eagles have done it again. They've won this game, winning the third out of 4 games in this campaign, and giving them that opportunity. You can see the scorecard. Central Eagle topping the chart, batting. That man, Chima Kachuku, getting 35 of 19 deliveries. Salim Salau, a mainstay. Quick fire, 13 of 6 deliveries. Prosper Hosseini, another quick fire. 13 of 4 deliveries. Deke Chemele proved to be expensive in just 2 overs. Delivered 21 wickets. Very costly, 28 runs conceded by him. Ateku Daniel, 1 wicket, 11 runs conceded. Monday Elijah, no wickets, 8 runs conceded in just 1 over. Expensive bowling by the Central Eagles and the Western Dolphins, And the Central Eagles would be bowling. Akachuku came into the attack to bowl for them, got 1, just conceded 18 in 2 overs. Peter, our captain, bowled 1 over, conceded 7 runs. Prosper Hosseini also came into the attack and bowled 12 runs for no wicket. For the Western Dolphins, Chemele Odekwe tried to make his face